What's up, guys? I might be changing my direction I'm going with the fuel cell here. So originally I've had this fuel cell laying around for a different project, so I was kind of counting that as being free. But my problem is this Maxima has a returnless fuel system, which means that the in-tank fuel pump that's in the car regulates the fuel pressure instead of having a pressure regulator under the hood that sends fuel that it doesn't need back to the gas tank. So in order to run a fuel cell in a returnless system, you have to also get an inline fuel pump, and you also have to get an inline fuel pressure regulator. And then, you know, these fuel cells have these AN fittings. So you have to get all these different adapters. Like these are for the braided hoses, and that hose is expensive. I was just gonna run regular rubber hose, but you have to adapt the AN to barb fittings. So by the time I was gonna buy the fuel pump, pressure regulator, the fittings, the hose, that was all gonna be like over $100. I had all the stuff in my Amazon cart. I can probably show you the actual prices of everything on the screen. So instead of going through all that, I'm gonna try to make this boat tank work. Pick this up off a guy on Facebook for $15. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna drop the stock fuel tank in the car, and it's a plastic tank, which would be better for what I'm doing with this. It would be better if it was a metal tank, but I can make this plastic tank work. And I'll show you, I'm gonna have to cut around the fuel pump and cut a hole in the top of this. I'll cut this handle off. Cut a hole in the top of this, it's the same size. Drop that pump in here, and then since it's a plastic tank, I'm gonna have to do some JB weld something to it somehow. Let's drop the tank and see what we got to do to make this work. we want to keep these parking brake cables so that I can whip this thing around the figure 8 track and the derby. So otherwise I just cut these. Take these off too.
Holy cow.
What is going on out there? Calm down a little bit already. Okay, so we got the fuel pump out of the tank. We actually see this goes under it like that. So I just cut a circle around where the fuel pump was, and got this set on there. Mark my circle, but I actually want to be, you can see there's a lip all the way around that. I want to be sitting on the outside of that lip because that'll get the fuel pump set down far enough to where it's not going to leave gas in the bottom of this tank. So I got a circle marked out for that lip. This was the pickup, the original pickup for the boat tank, so I'm just going to cut a metal patch and plug that up. So I get that hole cut, and then we'll figure out how we're going to JB weld this on. By the way, this is full of, not full, but I put some water in here. Can't see because it's dark. Just in case there's a little bit of residual gas in there. I didn't want this thing catching on fire, blowing up on me. I got this ring fitting on there pretty good. All the way around pretty well. A little bit of a gap there. It's not bad. I have to cut this divider out so our fuel pump can fit in there. Do that real quick. Okay, so I couldn't really get in there close to the wall without poking a hole in this can. So I just cut it right down the middle and bent them out of the way. That should be fine. I'm gonna give this can a toilet bowl cleaner treatment here. The toilet bowl cleaner gets rust off really well. Okay, so I spent a little bit more than I was expecting to. Picked up this JB Weld tank weld. It's a putty. I'm gonna see if I can use that. You know, I'm gonna take this back out and probably roll this up into a bead and kind of make a gasket for that and this, and suck it back down on top of it. And I can fill some gaps with that too. Then I got, this is where I probably spent most of the money. I got a big pack of JB Weld. And I'm just gonna lather that stuff all over this whole thing. Not over the whole pump, but like all the edges. So just to make sure it doesn't leak. And I also got I got 3/8 inch fuel line, about 5 feet of it. I got it started fed through the floor of the car over there. But before we do any of that stuff, I'm gonna get the bottom of this can cleaned out, get the rust out as best I can. If you're gonna use toilet bowl cleaner to remove rust from a tank, make sure you have baking soda on hand. You don't want to leave this in the tank for too long either, because this will start eating holes in the metal. So I don't know how long we're gonna leave it in for. I'll just check on it, and then when you're done, rinse it out with water, and then neutralize it with baking soda and rinse that out, and make sure it's real dry so it doesn't flash rust on you. I'll just give this some sloshing and then let it sit and then let it slosh again for a little bit. It's already looks like it's kind of cleaning stuff up in there pretty good. Yeah, it's getting cleaner. And it might need scrubbed a little bit where that really nasty dried gas is. Wow. I'm gonna throw some, I'm gonna put some nuts and bolts in there and see if I can agitate it a little bit. Just a handful of nuts and bolts. Really doing a really good job actually. All that nasty gunk is off the bottom. It's pretty much just some rust now. You don't want it to eat too much because it will eat straight through that metal. I might not leave this for very much longer at all. Okay, so it hasn't even been 5 minutes, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and call it good. It's looking pretty good. So I'm gonna dump this, and then I'm gonna work at it with a Brillo pad a little bit. I'm gonna rinse it out with water and then neutralize it with the baking soda. It's already etching the metal on the outside where it poured over. All right, now we're looking, I mean, it still looks dirty, but you can see that very well. A lot cleaner than what it was, way cleaner. I need to go get some gas put in here so it don't start rusting. It's gonna rust real quick. You can already see where on the outside where it got wet, it's starting to rust. So gotta go get that. Okay, now everything's wiped down with some wax and grease remover. I splashed some gas in there so it doesn't flash rust. And it's about time to JB weld this thing in. You're supposed to wear gloves with these, but I don't have any gloves. So the camera ended up dying before I finished this, but it's done now. So before the camera died, you could see I was going around after I sucked this down to the metal, went around all the gaps and filled it in with that putty. Well, after I did the putty, I mixed up a bunch of JB Weld in batches and just lathered it on there. I've got some fittings coming in the mail. These are like the snap lock fuel injection fittings. I don't have it, like I need to adapt that to barb. So right now I just have that hose clamp pretty tight onto there, but there's a good chance that'll just blow off with the pressure of the fuel. Same as under the car. My hard line down there actually had a pinhole on the top and it was spraying fuel, so I had to cut some of that hard line off. So I got line just clamped to it too, but it'll blow off eventually too, possibly. So I got a compression fitting, 2 barb fitting coming in the mail for that. It's supposed to be here today, but until then I can test it at least with these fittings, or without the fittings. So that's probably going to be it for this video. Still got to pull all the wiring away from the edges and out of the trunk and try to figure out where to put my fuse blocks, because that's really vulnerable. That'll get hit real quick. Probably next video will be starting on the cage and building a cage for the fuel cell. Not much to do after that either. Paint the car. I guess real quick I can probably see if I can turn this upside down and see if it's going to leak anything out. Okay. I don't know if this vent has a check ball or anything in it to keep it from leaking out, but I guess we'll see. Make sure that's tight. That's just dust. Yeah, I'm leaking a little bit. That's actually, where's that coming from? I think that's coming from that connection. So that's not even my JB Weld failing. Huh. Well, I don't think it's enough to matter too much for what I'm doing. Let's try tipping it the other way. Yeah, that's it. Everything else is holding just fine. You know, So it's all coming from right in there and leaking out. Everything else is dry. I'll probably just slather some JB Weld in there. I'm not going to take this out, so might as well just make it permanent. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. Catch you on the next one.